and science fiction. Aliens have been accused of, or linked to, a range of things on Earth. Some good, and some bad. The zoo hypothesis claims they're watching over us, charting our progress towards becoming a higher power. The lab hypothesis also claims they're watching us, but only as an often cruel experiment. Various ancient alien theories reckon that ETs built some of our most famous monuments, while there are now countless alien abduction accounts logged officially and unofficially all over the world. All of which leaves us in something of a strange position regarding our perspective of them and their intentions with us. The alien story is embroiled in mystery, intrigue, and excitement, but also suspicion, fear, and prejudice. Most alien abduction reports present the aliens themselves as unemotional and unsympathetic, testing, probing, and roughly discarding their human subjects. They're rarely friendly or helpful, and certainly not on our side. Not all are quite so brisk and inhospitable, though. In 1951, for instance, one Fred Reagan claimed his plane was hit by a UFO, only for the alien pilots to endlessly apologize and even offer to cure Reagan of cancer. So sometimes, it would seem, aliens can be nice. Which takes us to Valiant Thor. In 1967, the ufologist Frank E. Stranges published a book called Stranger at the Pentagon. In it, he claims that he personally met an alien that prevented humanity's destruction, and it's a bizarre story. The tale of Valiant Thor begins in 1957, when it said that he and 3 other extraterrestrial beings, named Dawn, Jill, and Tanya, landed their ship in a field in Virginia. When local law enforcement arrived, according to Stranges, the ET group demanded to speak with the president, and although first they were escorted to a meeting with the Secretary of Defense, they did quickly get their wish, soon sitting down with the US leader at the time, Dwight D. Eisenhower, plus Vice President Richard Nixon. How did Frank Stranges know this? According to him, it's because it was around this point that the Pentagon decided they needed another expert hand to deal with their alien visitors, and so they turned to Stranges, who, again according to him, was at the time a top theologian and authority figure with high-level security clearance. Notably though, Stranges is also said to have believed in aliens before all of this, and to have specifically thought that aliens traveled through the universe with the goal of converting people to believe in God. Stranges was also a preaching Christian. According to Stranges, after he was approached by the Pentagon, he and Valiant Thor quickly became friends. Thor apparently told Stranges all about his purpose on Earth, that Thor and his alien colleagues had come from the planet Venus and were part of an intergalactic high council, but that the council had supposedly seen the United States drop their nuclear bombs during World War II and had grown concerned. It was then explained to Stranges by Thor that their arrival on Earth signaled the start of a 3-year mission to advise humanity away from total destruction. The mission goals included to offer us the technology we need, to advise us on nuclear disarmament, and to invite us to join the Intergalactic Council ourselves. It's then claims that Thor really did stay at the Pentagon for the next 3 years, working closely with the US government. It's said that Valiant Thor himself looked exceptionally human, although he had 6 fingers on each hand. There's even a supposed photograph of him in circulation, wearing a suit with his hair slicked back, appearing for all the worlds to be a regular human person. Thor claims, however, that members of his species could live for up to 500 years. He said they came from Venus and that there were actually many more alien groups out there, unbeknownst to us. Thor also claimed, according to Stranges, that the Intergalactic High Council's wider purpose here was to help humans return to the values of Jesus Christ, who it said was also an alien from outer space. In 2013, a short film adaptation of Strange's account was released, also titled Stranger at the Pentagon. The film states that it's based on a true story, but adds even more to the already spectacular saga. In it, Valiant Thor is approached by an official who hopes to take advantage by using Thor's alien technology to take the US closer to world domination. The shady official then escorts Thor to meet someone else, called the Empyrean, who's the leader of the so-called Secret Shadow Society, which has major influence over global affairs. Next, it's revealed that the Empyrean, at least, does know about other alien species in the universe, and is linked to many of the most evil. And so, briefly, the world is actually placed in more danger thanks to Thor's arrival, caught, as it almost is, in a cosmological crossfire between multiple alien groups. Strange's original claim doesn't really mention any of that, although, unsurprisingly, even his slightly tamer base story has been met with a lot of criticism. In reality, there are so many hard-to-prove aspects of it, with mostly just one man's word to back them up. The supposed photo of Thor is really indistinguishable from any photo of any earthly human being. Thor's alleged description of living on Venus has struggled increasingly in the face of modern science too, now that we know how hellish the actual environment on Venus is. What's more, there's no tangible evidence that Frank Strange's really was in any position to ever have any level of security clearance. Many more of Strange's claimed credentials have little to no grounding as well. There are some who've supported his account, but their legitimacy has also been questioned. One Harley Andrew Bird supported Strange's, saying that he had worked on the UFO investigation Project Blue Book in the 1950s and 60s, but those claims are unproven. Perhaps the most interesting voice sometimes linked to Strange's comes from Laura Eisenhower, who really is the great-granddaughter of the former president who supposedly met Valiant Thor, Dwight D. Eisenhower, although Laura has come to be widely branded as a pseudoscientist above all. So, ultimately, the story of Valiant Thor has to be taken with an extremely large pinch of salt. The near total lack of evidence is striking. Very few people claim on record to have met Thor, despite his time on Earth seemingly taking him to the heart of the US government. Despite the 3-year stay that Thor and 3 other aliens supposedly had, they apparently left nothing at all to prove that they were here. More than 50 years later, and there's no sign of a ship, nor of a lingering presence. Thankfully, it is true that humanity hasn't forcefully used a nuclear weapon since World War II. But perhaps we don't really have Thor to thank for that. Maybe he will return one day in the future, whenever humanity next needs him. Maybe we should just try our best to keep ourselves from hurting each other. But that's how it's claimed that an alien once said